Fishing shallow for carp and F1s during the summer can be really rewarding throughout your day. I'm going to show you some little tips and tricks to get the most out of your day's fishing, and hopefully you'll learn a few little tips and tricks along the way. Hello, my name is Matthew Powell and welcome to an absolute beautiful Horns fishery today in the Cannock countryside, just between Rugeley and Cannock. A little place called Slitting Mill. Absolutely beautiful, picturesque venue. Little venue, but absolutely stuffed full of F1s, carp, skimmers. It's just a brilliant venue. The first thing to do when you come to a venue like this and it's absolutely boiling hot is to establish where the fish are in your peg. There's no point fishing on the bottom if the fish are 2 foot or less in your peg. It's just not productive. So the first thing we did this morning was I went out with a deck rig, tapped in a few pellets, and it was apparent that the fish wanted to be up in the water. My float was dancing all over the place. I was getting false indications on my rig. So then it was a case of going shallow and seeing if they're there. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to whiz a shallow rig out and show you how to do it. So all I'm going to do is little shallow rig there, probably 18 inches deep, with a banded pellet on. I'm just going to feed before I go out. It's very important to keep the bait going into your peg all the time. You need to keep them fish up in the layers. Just going to ship out to my destination. Get to my destination and I'm just going to slap the rig over 3 times. Make that noise. So you want to make that noise so the fish think there's pellets coming through the water. They'll bite straight away. So again, 3 slaps. When you're slapping, you don't need to feed. There you go, there's one straight away. So what I've done there is I've got the fish into my peg. That's a little tiny bit better fish, that is. I've got fish into my peg, and I've slapped the water, and the fish think that there's pellets coming in, so they're competing against one pellet rather than competing against a load of pellets in the peg. So again, what I'm going to do, I'm just going to ship back. I'm going to stop at my top kit, put the top kit between my legs, and I'm going to feed again. Remember, it's all about keeping them fish in your peg. You have to keep feeding. It's nice F1, so just take your time. There you go, thanks for us. Nice little F1. I don't mind catching these one a chuck. Look at them little bars of gold. Absolute stunning fish. So now it's just a case of repeat that process time and time again, and you're going to put more fish into the net. So I think it's a good point now. What we're going to do is I'm going to go through the rigs in more detail and show you the rigs, tactics, everything of how I'm going to catch these fish. I'm going to talk to you quickly about the process of fishing shallow in your feed. It's a little bit different than mugging, dobbing, things like that, whereas you're fishing in feed. So I've got my rig on, rig set to about 1 foot deep. I'm going to feed first thing, feed. 10 pellets in my pouch. I'm going to feed some pellets. I'm going to ship out and slap 3 times. So we ship out to my destination. Slap 3 times. Slap 3, there you go, fish on. So it didn't take long to catch that fish. So what I'm going to do now is while that fish is out the swim, feed again and start, really take your time, because these F1s, although they're only small, you're putting weight into your net all the time. So once that rod pole's on your roller, just stop it there between your leg, fill your pouch up again, feed more bait. It's all about keeping that bait in your peg all the time. So nice and easy, net that nice little F1. So unhook him, put him in the keep net. And now again, it's just a case of repeating that process over and over again. While my rig's out of the water, I'm just going to talk to you quickly about the 3 rigs I use for shallow fishing. I tend to keep things really simple. A lot of people I see on the bank have 10, 12 kits up, and it's just no good. You're just confusing yourself. Too much gear and you're just confusing yourself, and you're not in the water for long enough to produce a decent weight. So this is the reason why I only have 3 rigs, really simple. So the first rig I'm going to talk about is my slapping rig. So basically all it is, as you can see, it's probably 2 foot of line, if that. I've got a nice little MVR Finesse 5 on, 0.2 of a gram. Now I use this float because it's got a really small bristle, and when you slap it cocks really quickly. It's really important. You want a float that cocks quick, sits in the water nice and quickly so you can get them nice fast bites. The advantage of using a line like this is I can fish 2 foot deep, or I can fish 18 inch, I can fish 12 inch, I can just literally move my float up and down to where the fish are in the column. Yes, you might argue it might take a little bit more time than putting a rig down and just picking another one up, but I find that counterproductive. You just end up having loads of top kits behind you and there's just no point. You know, save some money, have one rig that does everything. So it's 016 mainline, MVR Finesse number 5 in a 0.2, a bulker number 10s on a 3-inch hook link, size 18 CR25 Maver hook, and a band with a banded 6mm. Really simple. And I'm just going to talk to the elastic quickly. It's an 8 to 11 yellow elastic. There's carp in here up to £10. This will cater for them easily. You're not going to get broke on this gear. The second rig is a little bit different. So this one is for fishing a foot or less, and I always use a dibber style rig. I think a dibber is better when fishing this shallow because not only does it give you better presentation, it sits even quicker. You've got a nice thick visible tip, so when you get a bite on this, it sails under and you're into a fish straight away. Also, what you'll notice is there's a little bit of line here. What this enables me to do is just flick it around my feed a little bit. I find these much better than a bristle. They're a little bit heavier, a little bit more stable, and like I say, you can fish really shallow with a dibber. You can fish 6 inches deep. So if all I had to do was literally shallow that down and I'm fishing 6 inches deep, that's why I use a dibber. Again, 8 to 11 Maver dual core, 016 mainline, a little MVR 0.1 dibber, MVR Finesse 7 that is. Little bulker number 10s again, 3-inch hook link, size 18 CR25 Maver hook, and a bait band, really simple. So that's my 2 rigs that I'm going to be fishing in my feed. So when you're fishing in your feed, you want to be slapping, swinging, changing your depth all the time. But there's also another rig that on loads of carp commercials, F1 venues across the country, there's a lot of dobbing, what's called dobbing. So you've got to incorporate this rig into your fishing now. It's taking so many venues apart up and down the country, and to not do this, in my opinion, is a mistake. You're missing a big amount of weight that's going to be in your keep nets at the end of the match. This rig, very simple. I've stepped up the elastic, so it's an 11 to 14 dual core, just to get them fish under control quicker. You know, they're a little bit bigger, these stamper fish that are up in the water. You know, you're cruising round, normally the big margin fish that come down the edge. So your rig has to reflect that. 020 MVR rig mono, taking no prisoners. As Andy Kinder says, if you're going to be a bear, be a grizzly. So MVR Finesse 6 float in a 0.2. What this allows me to do is it allows me to swing at fish, dob them, swing it a foot in front of them, and hopefully the fish is on. As you can see, it's probably set there to about a foot deep. So I've got a 6-inch hook link of 016 to a bit of an animal hook really. It's a CR45, but it's in a size 14. Taking no prisoners, big decent hook, big fish, big hook, big baits, to a size 6mm or 8mm pellet. Really simple, but those 3 rigs in conjunction with what I'm doing, 2 rigs in your feed, and then you've got the mugging / dobbing rig in for swinging at carp, and hopefully those rigs, if you copy those rigs, you'll put a lot more fish in your net. I'm going to talk to you quickly about the process of mugging or dobbing. So basically, really simple. You keep your pole back, ship out to a fish, swing it a foot in front of it, and hopefully it goes down and takes it. It is that simple. There's no special technique or anything. Literally, keep your pole back, look at the water, find a fish, ship out to it, swing it a foot in front of it, you'll go down and hopefully it takes your pellet. It is that easy. We've had a few shallow slapping in the feed, but it's really noticeable that the fish are just cruising on the top, not really wanting to play really anymore. So we've caught a few mugging and dobbing using the tactics that we've gone over. So switch between mugging, slapping in your feed, and you'll catch a lot more fish. Well, what an awesome day we've had today. I'm just going to ship my rig back because a well-needed refreshment is needed. Absolutely boiling. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take this side tray away and my pole away, get our nets out and see how we've done. It's been an absolutely phenomenal day. We've caught shallow in feed, mugging and dobbing, and hopefully you'll take away some tips and tricks to catch you more fish in the summer. Let's get all this packed away and then we'll see what fish we've caught. Well, we've had a brilliant day here today at the Horns. Catching shallow, absolutely brilliant. I love it. I love shallow fishing. So let's get these fish back and I hope you've enjoyed it. Just a couple of hours sport. There's the first net. And there we go. Hope you've enjoyed it. Tight line, see you again.